cloud of unknowing. And here's another one, next page. The irreducible description of what I did in the field would be to say the Yaqui Indian sorcerer Don Juan introduced me into the cognition of the shamans of ancient Mexico. By cognition is meant the process responsible for the awareness of everyday life, process which include memory, experience, perception, and the expert use of any given syntax. What? That's like Bill Clinton, what is the meaning of is? The idea of cognition was at that time my most powerful stumbling block. Oh, I can imagine it was. It was inconceivable to me as an educated Western man that cognition, as it is defined in the philosophical discourse of our day, could be anything besides a homogeneous, all-engulfing affair for the totality of mankind. Oh, it's better that he lets Don Juan speak, actually. The minute he gets into his analysis, you know, he really does seem like he's like gone off. But he did produce this book, and as you say, it had a tremendous following. You know, it had a big following. He did very, very well by it. And what should you read? Well, read those things because they're interesting to see how he tries to express himself. Look at the next page, 15. Don Juan said that the energetic fact, which was the cornerstone of the cognition of the shaman of ancient Mexico, was that every nuance of the cosmos is an expression of energy. I guess that's why it's called the energetic fact. For their plateau of seeing energy directly, these shamans arrived at the energetic fact that the entire cosmos is composed of twin forces which are opposite and complementary to each other at the same time. They call these two forces animate and inanimate. I always find I'm going around circles with this guy. I mean, okay, maybe there are two forces and maybe that's what they are, but he certainly isn't really. He loves these things. Intent, cognitive, intent. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, I have no idea what he's talking about in this introduction. So let's look at the last page of it, 21, 20. These are the general conclusions that have been drawn from my immersion in the cognition of the shamans of ancient Mexico. I realized that what Don Juan had offered me was total cognitive revolution. I wish he'd dropped that word cognitive. I tried in my subsequent works to give an idea of the procedure to effectuate the cognitive revolution. I guess he must have stumbled a bit because we haven't heard much about his succession of works. In view of the fact that Don Juan was acquainting me with a live world, the process of change in such a live world never ceased. Conclusions, therefore, are only mnemonic devices or operational structures which serve the function of springboards into the new horizons of cognition. I haven't got a clue what he's talking about. I don't know what he's saying. I'm not even sure he knows, but I don't hold you responsible for anything like that except to have a good laugh, because I haven't got a clue what he's talking about. So as far as those kind of analytic, so-called dissertation, doctoral dissertation fudge that he's put in this thing to please his professors, obviously, I think you can dismiss all that as not useful to us. If you find it useful, that's great. Look, don't listen to me. I'm just one cynic, and you have to draw your own conclusions. I'm just trying to make it entertaining for you. Half of my job is being a stand-up comic, I always thought. I mean, if you can be a professor, you can be a stand-up comic like Seinfeld. There's no difference. And honestly, two professions are very similar. So our job is to try to keep people from falling asleep, and part of that is to keep them laughing. So that's half of what we do in lectures, at least some of us do. I hope I succeed a little bit occasionally. The forward on page Roman numeral 23. So Carlos Castaneda, under the tutelage of Don Juan, takes us through the moment of twilight, through the crack of the universe between daylight and dark, into a world not merely other than our own, but an entirely different order of reality. To reach it, he has the aid of Mescalito, Yerba del Diablo, Humido, and these are in order peyote, datura, and mushroom. So there's three different groups of hallucinogens he is going to be dealing with here. So that's the, I meant the other introduction here on 27 is what I want to read, Castaneda's introduction. Hey, we're already up to Roman numeral 27, so we're doing pretty well here. What time have we got here? We're still doing okay. In the summer of 1960, I'm going to read you bits of this, and then we'll try to comment on things that we find interesting. I'll read you bits because I have the feeling that I can't depend on you to read it yourself. Now, I know you can read, but, you know, reading things often takes 2 or 3 reads in order to get anything out of a thing. Just the first read, you're just kind of like being acquainted with the shower, cold water shower feeling of getting into a new universe. And by the second and third read, you might figure out what he's talking about. So aside from novels or things which are easier, these kind of books usually take 2 or 3 reads. So even though I want you to read it, and I do, and I hope you don't come in here and just wait for me to read it, and I'm sure 3/4 of you are doing that, still, even though I know you're cheating on me like that, I still do it like this because I know at least one read with me is better than one read with you. So if that comes out to be 2 reads, one that you did and one together, we're already ahead of the game. So all I want to do in this class is acquaint you with what these people have to say, and that's the best. I mean, I don't have anything to say, so the best I can do is midwife these people for you. And if these people have anything interesting to say, then we've had an interesting course. If they don't, the course is a bust. But I think some of the people are interesting. I think he's pretty interesting ultimately, even though I'm laughing at him. He is funny, and you got to have a sense of humor in order to, you know, even begin bothering. In the summer of 1960, which is way long ago, you see, much earlier than this book came out, in 68, you say it came out? Something like that. While I was an anthropology student, boy, he's been there a long time, University of California, Los Angeles, I made several trips to the Southwest to collect information on the medicinal plants used by the Indians of that area. So he's pretty early in this drug movement that gripped the mid and late 60s into the early 70s. The event site, of course, is still around from what my next generation people tell me. The events I describe here, and if you see that movie Garden State, which I saw recently and which the people who were watching seem to enjoy quite a lot, about the suburbs of New York and New Jersey. That's why it's called Garden State. How many saw that movie? I'm the only one, yeah. Well, I came from that town, so I wanted to see what that guy had to say about my hometown. And Zach Braff, if you've heard of him, he's in some comedy series of some kind. Yes. I saw it down at UC Irvine complex of movie theaters down there where they actually show intelligent movies occasionally. And I noticed that it was pretty full of people your age and that they were really enjoying it. It was really speaking to them, and they were laughing at all of the jokes, and when it was serious, they were dead quiet because you were a pin drop. And though the movie didn't say anything to me personally, I could see that it was effective in its effect on people who were watching it, particularly people of your generation and age, most of you here. So I think that movie is going to be successful, and apparently it is getting successful. But it does picture a drug scene from my hometown, my old hometown, I must say, that was never there when I was a kid. That's all that I can tell you. So it was quite surprising me to see how deep into this world these suburban communities have gotten, even to the present time, if that's an accurate representation of something of what goes on there. You would be able to comment on that more than me. So this scene doesn't seem to have been restricted to the 60s and early 70s. It seems to have kept on limping along into our own period quite effectively. Again, you'd be better able to judge that than me. So I don't think things like LSD and stuff like that are particularly very popular anymore. And I don't know anyone who's doing